So how are you doing now that I'm just starting to wind down here?
It felt like it was going down my spine a little bit and then over to my right side was kind of, I don't know, like the blood was flowing better
Mm-hmm.
all the way around. And then my fingers, yeah, I could feel it in my hands as well. That's a trip. Yeah,
It takes a minute to get used to, but once you
yeah,
do, it feels good. We truly are an instrument. And if you look at us like a piano or a guitar, something that needs to be tuned, we have to tune up our instrument. And the way to do it is we're bending a frequency, we're moving a frequency that's out of place. Right now, while I'm looking at your vagus nerve, what I'm doing and why you're feeling this is I'm literally in the frequency, moving the frequency. So I'm pulling on it, I'm tugging on it to a degree to allow it to release itself into place so it tunes up. And
yeah,
so that's why we do feel it. And again, it's natural, it's organic. We've forgotten how to do this. Our ancestors did this. This is how they healed. If you go to the temples in Egypt, you will see on the walls in ancient structures, there is a whole healing area actually that has hieroglyphics of healers that are hands off on the body that are doing what looks like Reiki or Qigong.
This is the Wonder Network, where we discuss healthy options for humanity. I'm Michael Lane, and today we have a very special guest, our very own energy intuitive, Tam. Now, for those of you that don't know about her skills and a little bit about what she is about, Tam is an energy and medical intuitive and is also a certified master practitioner in energy healing modalities. She is especially skilled in long distance healing work for both people and pets and has been working with people around the world for over 20 years. How you doing, Tam? Welcome back.
Hi, Michael. Thank you. It's delightful to be here. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. It's great to see you again. And I know we had a reading a week ago. You did on me, and also my little 12-pound fluff ball. And so we've had an interesting week. But thanks to your reading, detecting her dry eye, she went to a specialist just yesterday, an eye doctor, an eye vet specialist, and they confirmed that. It ended up being dry. Everything else is healthy. She does have dry eyes. She's on 4 medications now for at least a couple weeks, and she goes back for a follow-up in a couple weeks. Already, I will say, just in the past 24 hours, her eyes already looking better.
It's amazing. I'm so grateful that we got that information in time to help her do a follow-up. We'll check in on her. We'll see where she's at. Okay?
That's great.
Okay.
That's great. It's what I wanted here. So Tam really is here today to do an energy reading on a very good friend of ours, and her name is Missy. So how you doing today, Missy?
Hi there. I'm very good. I'm excited to see how this goes today, especially after hearing part of your update. Interested to see what's going on with my fur babies. So, as well as myself, of course. I'm excited.
Good, good. Well, I'm going to step aside here and I'm going to let you and Tam have at it. And I will be back afterwards.
Hi, Tam.
Hi, Missy. How are you?
I'm good. I'm doing pretty good. Yeah.
Good. Well, I had some things come in. Again, when we started opening up kind of like the energy, your team wanted me to share some things for you. Now, you can ask more detail. You can share with me if there's any specific question, of course. But I do want to start with a couple of things because your team did ask me to share things that have been seemingly concerning to you as of late that they probably know and you know. I have no idea what that is, but we're talking about some things around worthiness. Okay. So I don't know if this will make sense to you. You can nod, yes, no, you don't know what I'm talking about. You can disagree. You can say, oh, you're right on, whatever. It doesn't matter to me. I'm just bringing through information. So when I started looking, is normally what I do is I look at things from an energetic side. A lot of times we go into health pieces because that's what I naturally tend to pick up on. However, as I've done this work over the years, what I've found is I would say is a lot of information comes in that sometimes doesn't have to do with your health. It might be a precursor to the start of a health issue. And it also might be something that we need to look at further from maybe a past life, or which I don't like using the word past life. I will just say other lifetime, because in my world, I understand it as our lives and multiple lives kind of go on in the same timelines or trajectory technically that we do now. So all of our lifetimes are happening at once, if it makes it easier to hear that way. So without going into all that, I imagine anyone here who listens to these types of things on Wonder might understand that. If you don't, there's all kinds of information out there you can Google. But the reason I mentioned that is some things started coming up in kind of multiples for you. And I want to explain that. So multiple lifetimes having similar same pieces that you're dealing with now that have been, again, similar story, right? So that similar story that kind of stemmed from different lifetimes that's kind of happening now that your team wanted me to talk about was this worth piece, this worthiness that, and I think a lot of it comes out in what you like to do, or I don't know if you do this for work. I know you're a creative person. I don't know what that means, so I don't know because you and I don't really know each other. We haven't had a chance to talk, right? But I know of you. I know how wonderful everyone talks about you. What I do know is that your team wants me to share that there are certain health issues that you've had in the past that actually are tied to, this is a mouthful, so bear with me, multiple lifetimes that have to do with your worthiness and your creativity. So that's a lot, right? That's a lot to think about. So I'm going to try and break this down in pieces. So your creativity is connected to your health. Your creativity is literally connected to your wellness and who you are in this lifetime, because you're pulling it all together from all of your lifetimes. Okay. So again, this is a lot to talk about, but I want to, I'm going to do my best because I'm getting so much information. Again, it's hard sometimes to kind of put it all out there, but it's wonderful. So I want to share that piece with you because it sounds like it's not, and to a degree with the worthiness piece. But when you've been hung up before, if we go backwards and we look at your life, I'm being shown that you've had some challenges in your health from probably childhood, but that is really more in your young adult life. Now, did you go through something extreme that you can share, or at least acknowledge, like there was something that's gone on?
Yeah. I was in a bad relationship and I developed lupus in my early 20s. And then my parents got divorced right about that same time as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's a trauma trigger for sure. So what's interesting about that is all of that culmination has affected not only the health and wellness because of the emotional piece, obviously, right? That's connected there, but also it's stifled your creativity.
Mhm.
Now, I'm going to tell you from the higher ups, and I can just feel this just talking to you. You have an amazing ability to create whatever it is you're creating as an artist. Do you paint? Do you sculpt? What do you do?
I do oil paintings and I also create jewelry, so art you wear.
Oh,
So yeah,
wonderful.
I do both of those, and
Yay.
I've been selling recently, so um,
Okay.
getting more out there into a gallery and stuff. So it's been good finally selling stuff.
Yay. Well, that's going to, just so you know, that is actually part of even what came up earlier is that as you make decisions, because you're kind of in what I would call a movement. So a movement in life where think of your life as a long piece of music. And you're in a trajectory of a movement that is shifting gears in regards to how you're literally moving in your personal orchestra. I'm trying to find the right analogy here because yours is very unique. You have a lot of instrumentation, if you will. That's why I'm using music kind of as to kind of picture, to kind of pull it in, because it's not just an art, like a stroke of, I suppose I could use that, like a painting. But for whatever reason, I keep getting, no, use music because you have different instrumentations. When you're painting as an artist, you have different brush strokes, you have different colors. When you have music, you have multiple movements in music. So you can literally have a song that plays for 20 minutes if you're at an orchestra, an orchestra event, right? Um, some sort of symphonic piece. And now there's a movement that changes from one key to the next. So that would be kind of like a coloration that you might change, but it's actually happening in the movement of the music, where you can't really do that in a painting. You could do it in a consecutive paintings, maybe, if you were doing, something on a larger scale,
Series.
right?
Yeah. Mhm.
But this is something very unique, and I'm trying to actually understand it better because the information that's coming through is unique unto itself, and I haven't seen this before. And it's beautiful. So what it is it's a tapestry, if you will, of music that's coming in, and it's almost like it's a movement that needs to have the color and the brush strokes with it. So I want you to think of yourself as a multi-dimensional artist. Okay.
Mhm.
So not only the jewelry is fantastic, the paintings that you do are fantastic, but there's another piece that's coming in, and you're kind of figuring that out. We're in the movement of change. We're in a movement where you're elevating from one key to the next while you're doing your artwork. Now, the reason this sounds so strange, but it's important because this is what's going to feed your worthiness, because what you're doing means more than what you think it does. So to you, it might be, oh, I'm just doing this because I like to do it and I'm talented at this, and I'm just trying to wrap my head around the talent because I put it away for a long time and I didn't think I was good enough. So I didn't think I could sell anything, right? I mean, I hear those things in your
Mhm.
head, right?
Yeah.
Have you said those to yourself before?
In the
Something like
past, yeah.
that? Okay. So the reason I mention it is there's a lot of this that has to do with each other. You're pulling all this information in. You're having to remedy the past, the trauma, the illness, all the things that stopped you from being creative. You bottled up all that creativity until you could finally start doing it again, which you've done, which is fantastic. But the little voice that comes in and still says to you, I don't think I'm good enough, or I'm not sure, not good as that person. Do I really put this price on it? Because I'm not sure I could really charge that, right? That's all coming up. So your team is saying you do that night and day and you have to stop. Okay. And it might not be night and day as in every day, but it's coming up more frequent than it needs to. Does that
Mhm.
make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right. You want to share a little how you're feeling about
Oh,
that?
well, I just made two little 8x10s, and I hung them up and I really debated on the price, and I went on the lower end and it was snatched up within 2 days. And it
Mhm.
was really cool. It's like, I don't know. And I told myself I should have probably been not quite double, but I listened to other people about what they thought it should go for, and I ended up going lower. But yeah, I do. I talk myself down a little bit on things, and my jewelry as well sometimes. Yeah.
Mhm.
Um,
So
but
that has to
yeah,
stop according to your team.
okay.
So,
Don't play
um,
myself down. Yeah.
yeah, because you have a beautiful, beautiful gift. And what I was shown was that I did pull, just so you know, the emotional, like pull. I pulling from the ethers. I like to ask for words and things, and I pull them into a reading when I can, so I can understand a little bit better what might be going on in someone's world. And interestingly enough, what I uh, kept hearing earlier was emotional loss, emotional loss. So when I heard that, and then when you started talking about the other pieces of your health, knowing that all this ties together, that emotional loss all culminates. It's like I said, there's a bottleneck from
Mhm.
the trauma of what happened to you early on that still hasn't completely been dissolved. So, so when we talk about your creative work, and I know I'm bouncing back and forth, but hopefully it'll make sense as we kind of talk through it, is that
Mhm.
when you bottleneck your creativity, this is for anybody, but when you do that, it literally clogs up areas of your body. So the fact that your system, lupus is obviously a blood disease.
Mhm.
There's other things that it does kind of in the body, but it is complete. That doesn't make like I'm not surprised, right? When you tell me that because it makes sense. Now, um, I know that certain people will say out there, "Oh, well, that lasts your whole lifetime. You can't get rid of that." Well, I will tell
Mhm.
you, I disagree 100%. You can, right? It can reverse. There's all kinds of things. I'm not seeing it actually in your body now.
Not
Do you
anymore.
have it?
No,
Okay.
not really. No, I've been off of all medication for close to 10 years, maybe now.
That's
So
fantastic. Yeah,
yeah.
that's fantastic. So with that, so when we talk about the blood system, the blood of who we are, right? Blood and sweat, blood and tears, all those things that we talk about. The blood is moving you. It's moving through your system. It is your lifeblood, your life essence. Things that we just use words here in our human language. Those things culminated at a point in that emotional loss structure when that blood system it's almost like it was traffic jammed, right? All that emotion got caught up in your physical body. Now, when it released and you finally started doing art again, because I keep hearing that you stopped for a while.
Hmm.
Did you
Yeah.
stop completely for a few
Yeah.
years? Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I did
Okay.
it a little bit in college, and then I went probably um 12, 15 years. Yeah,
Yeah.
without
That's
any.
a long time.
Mhm. I mean, I did creative things, crafty things and crochet and just, things, but not what I later found was a passion.
Right.
Um, mhm.
Yep. Because this is who you are, right? And as a creator, right? Because you're a creator, um,
Mhm.
that whole creative energy, once you block it, depending on what it is, based on the person and of course the history from the cellular memory, which is in your body, that's what you're holding from multiple lifetimes. When you get a traffic jam and things start pooling up in certain areas, it can take a while for the physical to catch up to being able to move it out completely out of the body. So even a little piece of self-worth, when you're feeling down, you're feeling sad, and this is part of our learning experience. There's nothing wrong with you. You haven't done anything wrong. It's just that as we come into this lifetime, especially now on the planet, we are here to start cleaning up all the multidimensional crap that we've had to deal with in other lifetimes, right? So as we do that, anything that we have suppressed, we've buried, we've created those traffic jams in whether it's physical, mental, emotional world, usually it's all of it. Now we're here and everything's culminating into one area. It's important to have the success, to have everything that we really want, which is contentment and joy and happiness. I mean, yes, we all look at the money, and I get it because we've been trapped in the system. Those are the things that hang us up. I can tell you, though, by doing the things that you're doing, and if you can push through the worthiness piece, because I do see that still is kind of hanging in the balance there. That's why your team wanted me to bring it up today, is that anytime you hear your self-talk go that direction, you have to stop it. And if that means if you're with people and you need to literally excuse yourself, go find a restroom, go find a private space where you go to your car if you have to, take 5 minutes and do some self-talk, positive affirmations, whatever it takes to get you out of that negative space, even if it puts you in neutral. So, because you really need to feel it. So positive talk is only great if you can feel the positiveness that comes of it, right? Positive feeling is what we're after. So if you need to find a place that maybe you have a thought of something that brought you joy at one point in time in your life, go there. If you can't pull yourself out of it, something's not feeling good, get yourself into a neutral space so that at least the energy can't permeate to the density where it's going to pull you downward. And the reason I say that is because if and when, because I believe you are going to do this, I see this trajectory for you, is that you actually will get a very wonderful, strong material harvest out of this, so to speak. So everything that's pulling in your direction energetically is like gold at the end of the rainbow kind of thing. Like this is truly like you're on a path to that higher part of you that you're clearing the way. So there are these little bumps that come in of the worthiness piece that it's a big deal only in respect to it can hang you up during a thriving time, and you don't want to take 10 steps forward and then bounce back 12 steps, right? So you're going to be fine, but you will do so much more. Like I keep seeing there's something really amazing around the corner for you that is going to happen. That's going to knock you off your feet in a really great way. And it's going to come out from left field and you're not going to expect it. And it's just going to be a big win for you. Now, whether that's a cash prize kind of deal, I don't want to say that because I'm not seeing that attached to it. But my team and usually when I'm talking to someone else's team, they don't want us to focus on the money so much because that can hang us up in a bad way. What we want to do is know that we're moving forward on the right path that's kind of lit up for us and allow all good things to come in. So part of what your team is saying is that if you can keep everything in a high vibration, high focus, any health issue that you're having now, which I know there have been some others that have come up, actually won't even surface. Like they can't go anywhere. They're going to disappear. It's almost like they get to a certain level and you hit the positive button where you're just like, yeah, I don't care. I'm moving forward anyway. Then all of a sudden it just dissolves. Like it's like, oh, I can't live here. And you're like, nope, you can't live here. And so it just literally dissolves. So does that make sense to you at all?
Yeah. I've had a reading in the past where getting on my highest and best timeline has been the goal the last 6 months or so. And that's kind of what I've been told I'm getting, that I'm on the right path, toward, I don't know what to say, just abundance, but like, path for my creativity to be able to provide for me. And also, the love path and stuff. I'd like to get that at some point as well. another relationship kind of a thing. So, and I've kind of been closed to that since I moved 2.5, almost 3 years now, because I felt like I needed time just for me after my divorce and everything, because I did have a relationship for a while. And then being here, I think I've done a lot of self work, and I'm starting to be open to starting the next book of my life, really. I feel like that last part of my life it's a book that's closing. I don't know if that makes sense, but I'm ready for a new book.
Yeah, that's actually the movement that we were talking
Yeah.
about, right? You're in the middle
Yeah.
of a movement that is literally shifting you from one almost like one octave literally to another octave. So I know I said key change to a degree, but you're actually bringing in a whole other element. And what I love about that for you, so here's what it boils down to, is that truly you're in an aligning stage, okay? You're aligning your physical, your emotional, mental, and spiritual bodies right now. So everything you're feeling, all these things that you've been dealing with, this whole time of shift and change, so that as you talk about a spiritual partner, or you didn't say spiritual partner, I'm saying spiritual partner, I'm telling you it's a spiritual partner is what's coming through, which is why those words have been, it's not just a relationship.
Yes.
And that's why these things are important. There are actually, I'm getting two different people that can come into your world. One is one is definitely the spiritual partner. The other one is maybe just kind of a stepping stone to that spiritual partner. So you might see two. It all depends on how you move through this next phase over the next few months in regards to everything we've just talked about. So if you keep, because here's what I like to tell people when it comes to relationships, you have to be on the same frequency to attract someone into your world. So you could have this is where people talk about soulmates versus twin flames. I mean, we could label anything, but honestly, to me, if we just look at it from an energetic standpoint, what we want our highest and best frequency for ourselves. That brings in the highest and best frequency partner that can help us grow that much more. Yeah. For those people out there who say, oh yeah, I run into the same kind of person all the time, like they're out of one relationship and then they attract someone just like them, whether that's someone who's been abused or whether someone who they're just like, oh my gosh, this guy's so boring. And then they attract another boring person to them. I'm sure they're not boring, but they're boring to that person. All right. It's because you're attracting a similar frequency that can sustain for at least a certain amount of time that relationship on whatever the learning experience is. So that's why even we attract people into our world, sometimes there's a learning experience so extreme and valuable that we get the frequency and yet we feel like it's not the soulmate or the twin flame because of the fact that we're not having a smooth ride. Well, quite frankly, that's not what a soulmate or a twin flame is for. It's not I'm the love of my life and off we go. It can be for some people, but it's more of the right frequency partner. So you move through life together to have extraordinary learning experiences. Sometimes those extraordinary experiences are positive and joyful and just bliss, right? But that's rare. That is truly rare. Most of the time, it's going to be, okay, here's the trajectory, there's the goal, we're happy for a little while, and all of a sudden something changes. If they're not growing with us through the same frequency, which can happen, which is why people split apart, it's not that they weren't meant to be. People always say that, oh, wait, just weren't meant to be. Well, you were for a time period. Did you grow from it? 99.9% of people will say yes, no matter what that relationship looks like, right? So as we move and acclimate into whatever the next phase is for ourselves, for you especially, You have two people who are excited to have an experience with you, but it depends on where you get to first and where they're at as they're going through their learning experiences. One of them's in a relationship right now, so that person is not attainable until they
Yeah.
have moved themselves out of that relationship, right?
Okay. Hence the stepping stone.
It's just they're from what I'm understanding is they're not in a place where it would be successful for you and them to be in a partnership right now. But in a year from now, it could be like mind blowing all the way around. Okay. So it's having some patience, but also this is the time when you have to trust that everything that you're doing for you is going to bring in that very best person for you when you're ready and when they're ready. Because if you get there before they do, you meet them and they're not ready, that moves on to a whole different timeline, if you will, or a whole different something. Let's call it something because we're shifting gears all the time right now. And so we could shift a timeline. I might see 4 people come in if we did this on a different day because the frequency of somebody else, maybe somebody has jumped on a spiritual path and they've turbo boosted their consciousness. They might be a better partner for you in 2 years, right? Or honestly, maybe even a month, right? So that's why it's hard to pinpoint something. There's possibilities sometimes, there's probabilities, but when it comes to an exact, it's difficult right now for anybody because of where we're at in the world. You're moving very quickly. If you stay at this pace, your consciousness, you're moving very fast into a higher frequency. And as you do that, and you embrace everything we talked about today, as you embrace all your creativity and that little worthy piece sticks so you know that you are just as worthy as Picasso, right? Kind of thing, right? And pick your artist out there that you love. That's how things shift. That's how they shift in regards to who you're magnetized to, but it also is how you are magnetizing to yourself. There's a lot of energetics afoot right now that are changing us as we speak. Some of it we have a lot of control over, and some of it we do not. So as you move through this, you'll kind of know. I think you're going to start to feel and certain things as they kind of come up in your world. People that you meet, words even. Pay attention to words that you see daily on, like if you're looking through Google or YouTube or something, there might be something that keeps popping out at you. And what your team says is that words are important for you. So it may not be a sentence, it may not be a thing, it might be a word. So if you see a word in your dreams, if you see a word that, again, comes off of a screen or you're watching an interview and someone uses a word that you haven't heard of, or maybe it just shines brightly in the moment, grab that word, write it down. Chances are you're going to start to connect to it in a different way. It's going to have a story behind it. It's going to have something for you to look at. It could be someone talking about a red coat or a red sweater, and it could be something really simple, like a fashion thing that you're just watching because you got interested in or you saw, I don't know, a red coat that you wanted. But it's not the coat, it's like the color. So all of a sudden, that could be your clue that red is going to be important for you to use in your jewelry or in a painting. Maybe you're looking for something that you hadn't thought of before, and you never thought of using red because you didn't think it would work. And all of a sudden, not only does it work, but it takes that painting or your jewelry piece to a whole other level with a vibrant resonance that it changes the frequency of it because things have frequencies, right?
Right.
So now a person comes in and they see that painting and they're like, Missy, why are you only charging $50 for this? I'm going to give you 500. Like you're going to have this mind blown moment where someone recognizes that in you, all because you paid attention to what your higher self is trying to show you in order to be that expression of energy. Because that's what we're learning right now. We're learning to be an expression of energy of ourselves to grow through this time period.
If you want super health, you need super foods. Introducing the top 4 supplements you need now to transform into your superhuman self. First up, Shilajit, known as the destroyer of weakness. This ancient superfood from the Himalayan mountains is packed with 84 of the 102 minerals that your body needs. Next is Pearl Powder, an underwater superfood, sustainably sourced. It supports your hair, skin, eyes, and nails, enhances brain function, improves sleep, and may help alleviate skin ailments and even brain fog. Then we have reishi and turkey tail mushrooms, antioxidant-rich adaptogens that calm your central nervous system. They reduce stress, improve sleep, lessen fatigue, support your gut health, and enhance your immune system. Finally, we have dragon's blood, a powerful superfood from an ancient tree. Studies show that it can help regenerate collagen and tissue, support blood health and cognition, and promote healthy skin and gut flora. Unlock the power of these ancient superfoods to elevate your health. Visit us at thewonder.network and take 10% off your order with code WONDER10 and jumpstart your super health today.
As a collective, there's obviously a lot of things we need to do. You as an individual add to that collective, and everything you're doing as an artist right now matters. So I just want you to know that, because it sounds like we're just talking about you and your daily life and your world and what happens, for you, but you have a lot to give others. And I want you to hear that, because your team wants you to know that what you're doing, even if you don't think you're doing something for humanity, you are. And your gift is important. The frequency that you bring to your artwork is important. It gives you health. It gives you the nutrients that you need to feed your body. Without it, if you can, let's just paint a different picture. If you were to not do these things, what do you think would happen? Because I know so I'm going to have you tell me. What if you didn't, let's just say you stopped painting tomorrow, what would happen?
Well, I've been on well, and I miss it. Yeah. I get stuck in a rut, or like too much TV time, or, I don't know. Sometimes I have to force myself to get back into it, make myself sit down and do it. I don't know.
Well, how would you feel? So how would you feel? Do you think your body would feel good if you weren't being creative at all?
If I couldn't anymore, I'd be sad. Yeah. I'm sure my body would be unhappy.
Yeah.
I know it's right there. I can do it at any time. And if that wasn't the case anymore, that'd be sad. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like if I had to sit at a desk all day again or something, back like I did back in the day, that would suck. Yeah.
Well, I will tell you that what your team is saying, and this isn't fear-based by any means, this is just to show you your health now is due to the fact that you started reconnecting to your gifts several years ago. Okay, so when you started turning the corner and you started healing, it's because you opened up the creative doorway to yourself. Okay, so I just want you to know that, because if you were to, it doesn't mean you can't do other things. But because you could show up tomorrow and go, you know what, I don't want to paint anymore. I love doing my jewelry more. Or maybe you don't want to do the jewelry, or maybe you don't want to do either one. But as long as you are being a creator, right? Because that's who you are. Is the creativity piece is critical to your well-being. Remember, we talked about that earlier. It's the wellness piece that you are connected to. Your physical body is connected to that. And we could go backwards and I could share with you more. I don't think it'll matter now. It would take a while to kind of go through this in the show. But we could go backwards and I can tell you from different lifetimes that you've been in that you even had your hands, this is terrible to say, but you had your hands cut off in another lifetime because of the fact that you weren't, not that you weren't doing what you were supposed to be doing, but you were creating and wanted to create during a time when someone did not want you to do that. So to control you, it's terrible to say. I know it's barbaric, but does that
Well, I was
sound
going to say,
fair?
I think I've had some brutal lives. Like I'm terrified of fire, and I don't know why, and drowning. I must have died of those in other lives, is what
Yeah, you
And they
did.
say a lot of us intuitive people were probably burned at the stake, during the whole witch trials and time and era or whatever. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. The hands cutting off doesn't surprise me. That's interesting, though.
Yeah, I mean it's strange when it comes up, and for those people who don't believe in the whole multiple lifetime things, that's fine. I mean, I totally get it. I never used to until I started seeing things and hearing things during my sessions with people. I was literally working on I won't say her name, but I had a client early on in the days when I was just doing Reiki. I was literally just doing energy work. I was working on a client and I kept seeing this whole ear cut off thing, like her ear was cut off, and kept getting this Van Gogh, kind of visual in the middle of just doing a Reiki session. And I finally was brave enough at the end because I didn't know. I was new to energy work at the time from that standpoint. And literally, she was, when I started talking to her about, hey, I don't know if this makes sense to you, but I kept seeing this while I was working on your head. Do you have anything that you want to tell me? And she just went white as a ghost and said, oh my goodness. She goes, Van Gogh is kind of like my guide. He's with me all the time. And I said, really? I said, well, what do you do? She goes, well, I'm an artist. I mean, hello. So there were all these little things. It's not that she was Van Gogh, but when we started digging further, she was an apprentice of his. So I had no clue that any of that had to do with anything, but it tied to her wellness as well and went through a multitude of lifetimes of different types of things. And part of it is definitely learning because we've chosen to learn through experience in the physical. There's a whole lot of very odd things we would never choose for ourselves or each other from the human standpoint. It's a very different place that we allow ourselves to put ourselves into a situation like that, right? So, yes, I can tell you that, yes, you did drown in a certain circumstance in one lifetime. In another one, you were you burned at the stake? Yes. But there was also another situation where there was a village that was burned to the ground, and you happened to be in that village. So there's a lot of things like that. We could explore that. I know for a lot of people, it's fascinating. Yeah. Sometimes it's connected specifically to what we're talking about now. It's not to a degree and any longer. So I don't we don't have to go down that road. We can for people curious. But for you, the cutting off of the hands was definitely connected to your creative beingness, if you will. So again, we don't have to deal with that now. That is something that's been, I will tell you, it's cleaned up to a degree where it shouldn't appear ever again based on what I'm seeing. If you ever want to go down that road, let me know. We can do that and I can tell you more about it. But for me, it's all about, let's take a look at what's going on right now. What are the things that we can do right now to move ourselves forward in as much joy, as much love as we possibly can, because we have enough crap of everything else, right? We don't need to go down those roads.
Old rabbit holes. Yeah.
Yeah,
They're
exactly.
interesting, but it's not going to serve a purpose if it's
Yeah,
not affecting me now. Yeah.
100%. If it's not going to help us clean something up, then why go down that road? Now,
Yeah.
sometimes it can, but analyzing something to death for years does not help us.
No.
So I know I've said a lot. There's a lot of information that's been coming in, so I will apologize if things are a little bouncy.
No, not at all.
When your team comes in, and I've got, you have a multiple group. I'm seeing, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that are kind of talking my ear off over here. They're excited for you. There's so much that's happening, so positive for you. Is there anything else, Missy, that you can think of, health issues or anything that you might be concerned with that I can check into before we go?
I suppose, I do have a lot of cancer in my family. Both my parents died of cancer. And other than that, like a little scan. I don't know if that's something that you do. And then I had chronic shoulder pain, but that's pretty much it. I do yoga and trying to work on that. But yeah, it always gives me a little bit of trouble. But yeah, the cancer scan will probably be more have a good
Yeah.
idea. See anything going on that I need to.
So that's a great question. And I can definitely scan you. Let me take a look real quick. I didn't see anything in the energy field when I took a look earlier. Let me get a little more detail. 1 second. Did your mom have breast cancer?
No, brain cancer and lung cancer.
Okay. Did you have someone in your family that did? Did she have a sister or
A cousin.
a cousin?
First cousin, yeah.
Okay. I'm going to say a couple of things here. First of all, we all have cancer cells in our body almost all the time. Okay. So this isn't anything unusual. Everything, when I look at a person, I always see them running around. They die off. They die off. I mean, our cells die off all the time. So it depends on when you go in and what's going on, et cetera, et cetera. So I want to make that statement because I know that, again, that might be controversial, but at the same time, science will tell you that that is a truth. So I don't think I'm saying anything that's that unusual at this point. I do not believe, and I do not see that cancer itself is hereditary. I always recommend looking at things from, you are your own person. You're not your mother, you're not your father, you don't eat the same diets, you're not in the same world, you're not exposed to the same toxins, et cetera, et cetera. Now, does that mean we can be, our bodies might be susceptible? Yes and no. Overall, I would tell you that everything, the way I understand energy, can be reversed. So the reason I say that to you is if you were to go in and get checked right now, this very minute, and someone were looking for something specific, they might see something and scare you because they're going to say, oh, I think we need to take a look at this a little further. Okay. Now, doesn't mean you don't check, and it doesn't mean it's always important to do all those things. But we are also, and the reason I mention this, we're also in a time where when the astrology is kind of the way that it is, we're in Mercury retrograde, where we have solar flares. We have so many things going on that affect communications and imaging that somebody can make a mistake. Okay, so the reason I'm telling you this is that if you were to go in today, someone may see something, they may tell you, oh, I think we need to do this, and they're not going to be correct in their diagnosis. Okay, at least I'm not seeing that. That's what I'm hearing. So there are certain times to go in and check things. There are certain times to not. I'm asking your team, is there a concern that we need to be worried about? And I keep getting no, not at all, nothing. Okay. You're eating healthy overall. You do pay attention. Yes, are there some things that you should probably pull off the table? Your team is saying, yes, you know what those are. get them out of your diet, and you will feel
Uh-huh.
better. Okay, so I'm
Right.
getting that loud and clear. There's inflammation in that back neck kind of portion of yours. You're sleeping funny. Or I shouldn't say funny. You're sleeping on an area that is tender and it's causing more inflammation there. I don't think it's a full pinched nerve. It's just more of the way that the body is angled. I'll check in on that a little bit and see if there's anything we can do. The yoga seems to be what'll help. You're not seeing a chiropractor right now?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Have you done any of the zone work with a zone doctor? Like, have you run into?
Once a year ago. Yeah.
Okay. I think there's a zone doctor in your area. I want to check, so we'll take a look. But it doesn't have to be zone, but there are a couple of different types of doctors. It could be a NUCA specialist, but if you work with a doctor who understands the energetic part, you'll be able to readjust and realign your back pretty quickly. And it's a cervical neck issues that you're kind of having. It's different than what Michael had, but it is there. So you're a little out of alignment, that upper cervical. So that is causing a little bit of a twisting kind of thing. So, there are some things that you can do there.
Okay.
Have you done an ice pack at all?
Mm-mm. No.
Yeah, I would say do.
Yeah.
What I'm getting is if you do an ice pack just to help reduce the swelling, do an ice pack 20 minutes on, 30 minutes off, 20 minutes on. Do it like 3 times a day for the next few days.
Hmm.
If you have a magnesium spray,
I do.
do you?
Mhm.
I know that's a hard spot to probably spray, but if you can, get some magnesium spray, get it back there directly on the skin. So, okay. Or you could take a magnesium soak, like if you take a bath, you could do that. And I've got a recipe somewhere. I'll see if I can find it for a really great soak that you can pull toxins out of the body. You're a little tight back there. I can see that it's got a little bit of, it's like a residual tissue buildup is what that is. So, but between the two, I'm getting that you should be able to release that. I can work on you right now if you want to do that too. Everybody have a few minutes so I could work on Missy? We good? Okay. So let's do this. Let me get into that back shoulder of yours.
Mhm.
It's on the left side, is that correct?
This shoulder. Yeah, left.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
Like you're gonna know.
I know, that's okay. I just let me just double check because sometimes too, if I might feel something in one area that's being, from the other side, it's crossing over, but this one looks like it's directly in. All right. So I'm just going to get in there. So if you feel a little tingling or if you feel something, let me know. Some people do, some people don't.
Mhm.
If it starts to feel hot, I want you to let me know so I can back it off if it feels too hot. Do you feel anything changing right now?
My hand's tingling on my left side, my wrist. That's interesting.
Well, they're connected, and that's what I mean by
Mhm.
when the body crosses different nerves, right? The
Yeah.
meridian that we're looking at actually goes up, down, and around that area of the body. Hang on 1 second. Yeah, your meridian there is actually it's actually it's out. Your vagus nerve is off. That's what's affecting that. Okay, let me readjust here. The vagus nerve goes right down the middle of your body, but when things are off and twisted, when they're not in alignment, it's affecting different parts of the body, and that's exactly what's going on with you. So I'm going to see if we can realign it here. And you can feel free to talk through this if you feel something, just so the audience knows what you're feeling. That's always good.
It's like I can feel different, like my blood flow in different areas up and down my arm and into my shoulder a little bit. It's like I can feel my blood flowing, like pulsing. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does to me.
Yeah.
So what I'm doing right now, if it helps you at all, so I'm working up and down that vagus nerve,
Hmm.
which again goes through the body, trying to loosen up the area where it's kind of knotted up that I had talked about on the shoulder. But that is again connected to, if you think about it as our plumbing, so to speak, there are kind of different areas where the blood is flowing through. And what's happening right now as I move the energy is I just released an area that is a little bit backed up in your system, and in the arm. So you're probably feeling a little blood flow because you've got a nerve there
Yeah.
that's sitting right against your blood vein. So bear with me. It just takes a second. And I think,
Like feel it in my shoulder blade all the way down into my like armpit area, down my arm,
mhm.
where it's like the blood flows. It's like trying to think in a massage, if they release something, and it's like it's letting the blood flow
Mhm.
better.
Yep.
Yeah, because I don't feel anything in my right arm at all. I just feel
Mhm.
my left arm. That's trippy. I don't feel pressure like you're pushing or anything like that, but I feel a definite energy release. Because even my thumb, I noticed this morning, was shaking when I was trying to do a little bit of jewelry making. My left thumb was shaking. Oh, now I feel it down into my chest. Ooh.
Okay. Are you okay?
Yeah, that was
You're
just
getting
like
a little pink there from what I could see.
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
that's wild.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I
So
don't know how
really
to explain that.
that's okay. It's what I like to try and explain to people who have not had energy work done. There's nothing woo-woo about it. There's nothing uh, strange and weird or magical, honestly. This is what I do is I'm going into the energy field, right? So I'm going into your field, Missy, which you're feeling. That's why you start to
Mm-hmm.
feel things is because technically I'm there, right? Just
Mm-hmm.
like if I was in the same room with you, because I'm going into the field, what happens is I'm there holding space. There's certain things I'm doing that I have an intention for, right? So I'm
Yeah.
intending to help your body balance itself. I'm just a conduit. I'm not magically, I don't have a magic wand here. I don't have any kind of spell or kind of crazy thing like that. I'm literally just holding space and pulling in the natural organic energy that we already have, and I'm allowing your body, because your body is what needs the energy, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it's just caught up. Like I said, it's a traffic jam or it's a plumbing issue where things are just kind of in a space where they can't get through. So I'm doing my best to be the conduit of the energy where I can maybe gently adjust your system so that energy can go in. And what happens is that your body is doing the healing. So I'm not going in there and doing, like I said, I'm not
Yeah,
really
physically.
stitching something up or really going in and moving it around physically. Um, to a degree, there's a little bit of that, but it's really to allow your body. I'm stimulating points. I'm stimulating your energy field in the areas in which your body can heal. That's actually part of what zone work is for people who have watched the shows at Wonder with Dr. Pete Goldman or have heard of it before. That's what happens is that as an energy worker, or if doctors, when they use it, you want to go in and you're stimulating the areas of the body that we are understanding create the pathway for health and wellness, and they rewire is what they do. So I've used this in the past. I think I had mentioned it on Dr. Val's show. I'm still working on you while I'm talking. So
Yeah.
is that we truly are an instrument. And if you look at us like a piano or a guitar, something that needs to be tuned, we have to tune up our instrument. And the way to do it is we're bending a frequency. We're moving a frequency that's out of place. Right now, while I'm looking at your vagus nerve, what I'm doing and why you're feeling this is I'm literally in the frequency, moving the frequency. So I'm pulling on it, I'm tugging on it to a degree to allow it to release itself into place so it tunes up. And
Yeah.
so that's why we do feel it. And again, it's natural, it's organic. We've forgotten how to do this. Our ancestors did this. This is how they healed. If you go to the temples in Egypt, you will see on the walls in not the pyramids per se, but in a lot of the ancient structures, there is a whole healing area actually that has hieroglyphics of healers that are hands off on the body that are doing what looks like Reiki or Qigong. It's very fascinating. For those who get a chance to go there, I highly recommend going over there. You feel the energetics. So how are you doing now? Now that I'm just starting to wind down here, do you
Yeah, I
feel
felt like
different?
it felt like it was going down my spine a little bit, and then over to my right side was kind of, I don't know, like the blood was flowing better
Mm-hmm.
all the way around. And then my fingers, yeah, I could feel it in my hands as well. That's a trip. Yeah.
It takes a minute to get used to, but once you
Yeah.
do, it feels good. This energy works even when we're off the call. You will probably feel different or something similar. You might feel a little tingling here and there over the next
Mhm.
few days. Usually the energetics, they're different for everybody. Sometimes it's a 24-hour thing, but I've talked to some of my clients who've been feeling the energy for a week, and it might take a week. They might feel worse on day 3, just like they feel a little stuck. And then all of a sudden, it's just the energy pushing through. And all of a sudden, that 3rd, 4th day, everything shifts and they feel completely different.
Yeah.
So if you have a moment where you feel a little off before you feel better,
Yeah.
give it a minute. But otherwise, we can check in, next week too. You could tell me how you're doing, and we'll reassess.
That's awesome. Yeah. Great. Thank you.
Yay, you're so welcome. Any other questions?
Oh, I've taken up enough of your time. That was great. Lots to digest and think about and work on. So, yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I recommend it.
Oh, absolutely. Well, I'm glad that you had a good experience. Again, I want to share with you, you're doing so many right things, so many phenomenal things. Your team is so excited for you. So stick with all the things you're doing. You already know what things to remove, so I'm not even going to go there. So you're working on that already because it's already in your world. So stick with that. You are going to be better than fine. Open up to the best things possible for yourself that you would never even think of, because that's what's coming your way.
Awesome. Yay. Thank you so much, Jen.
Yay, absolutely. Happy to help.
Awesome. Appreciate it. That was a
Yeah.
lot. I need to digest it all first. I
There
think.
is a lot to digest, but
Yeah.
it's so valuable information. It's amazing, and you're amazing, Tam. You're
Oh,
amazing, and I can't stress enough for people in our audience out there to connect with you. If they feel the slightest bit inclined to, yeah, I highly recommend it.
thank you.
Well, and I'd like to thank everyone for joining us on this special episode with the Wonder Network, where we not only discuss healthy options for humanity, but also your pets. So that's all for now, and we'll see you next time. I'm Michael Lane. Thank you.